Are you looking for a new way to use your chicken breast? Well, I have one for you here with my cheesy chicken, broccoli, and rice. It's only 6 bites for this portion, and it is delicious. It comes together pretty quickly too, so it's great for a weeknight. And I'll show you how to do it coming up next. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roy. I am a home cook and amateur baker, and I am here on this channel sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today is going to be one of mine, and I decided to put this one up on the Friday after Thanksgiving because you could, if you had a leftover turkey, which I'm sure many of us do, use that in place of the chicken breast that I have here. So I figured this would be a great one to go up the day after Thanksgiving, a way for you to possibly use up some of those leftovers. Now there are only 7 ingredients, and this comes together pretty quickly. We have 1 pound of chicken breast cut into bite-sized pieces, 3/4 cup of white rice. You could use brown rice, obviously. 2 cups of broccoli florets. Now I weighed them and I got about 4.5 ounces. So if you're around that, you know, don't stress over 2 cups. Just get close, 5 ounces, 6 ounces. I mean, it's a 0 bite, 0 point food for most of us. If you have some extra, don't worry about it. 1 small onion chopped. Now here I have 2 cups of low sodium chicken broth divided. Now it says it's divided in the recipe because one part is going to go in with our rice, the other part we're going to use for our chicken once everything comes together. We have 2 cloves of garlic, which is equivalent to 2 teaspoons. I actually have a tablespoon there because we like garlic. So if you like garlic, bulk it up a little bit. And then the cheesy part of our cheesy, oh, I didn't even tell you what it was called. Cheesy chicken, broccoli, and rice. And here's the cheese part. This is the Fritos mild cheddar, and this is the one that I use in my mac and cheese steak. And if you have not seen that video, it's a very popular one. I will card that up here, and I will also leave a link to that below in the description box. But this is a 9-ounce can of the mild cheddar. I also have some salt and pepper and a little cooking spray. Now I'm going to just a small little pinch of kosher salt. I'm using kosher. And just put it over the chicken just to help with some of those flavors directly in the chicken. And then some cracked black pepper. And that's all. I'm going to shuffle a few things around. What I'm going to do is start cooking the rice first, which will take about 20 minutes. Now you can, in a lot of the recipes that I've seen that do something like this, they will cook it in here with all the other things. I often have trouble with it not cooking fully through. Sometimes it's because the rice is old. Sometimes I don't know what the reason is, because I even let it cook longer, even add more liquid. So I prefer cooking the rice separately, and I figured that way I could show you what I'm doing with the rice. It's nothing outrageously fancy, but it's just a few little tips that I do. But let me shuffle things around and we will get started. Okay, so I have taken my small little saucepan here, put it over medium-high heat, and sprayed it with a little cooking spray because I'm going to add the rice in directly to the hot pan and cook this for a few minutes first to get some of this rice a little toasty, which will enhance the flavor overall. This is the way I always cook my rice. So I'm gonna let this sit for a minute, toss it, sit for a minute, toss it, and then I will be back to show you where we go from there. All right, so you can smell some of the rice cooking. It smells a little bit like popcorn when you're popping popcorn on the stovetop. Kind of has that smell to it. And it's not overly browned. I didn't want that. I just wanted a little toastiness. And for that scent to reach my nose to let me know that there's some flavor developed in there. Now I'm going to add in my 1.5 cups of chicken broth, and I'm going to have my lid ready to cover so I don't lose too much to evaporation since it suddenly came up to a boil very quickly. Now it's died down a little bit. So you want to bring this back up to a boil, which shouldn't take too long. And you can see the water is a little dingy brown color. That just means some of the rice has toasted, and that flavor is going to permeate throughout the rice. Okay, we're starting to boil up here again. Usually once it boils, if you stir it and it comes immediately back to a boil, that's when you know it's ready to go. If it takes a moment or two, give it a little bit longer. Okay, so that is good. I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to move it off to one of our side burners here and put it on a medium low and bring in my pan to begin with the rest. Now I'm going to spray this with cooking spray pretty liberally. And it should come up to temperature fairly quickly because the burner was already hot. I have an induction stovetop, so if something goes off of it, the temperature starts to drop, but it should come back pretty quickly. It usually heats up pretty quickly. Now this is still on medium high, which is where I want it. Because what I'm going to do first is to cook my broccoli. And this is the way I always cook my broccoli, whether it's a side dish or part of a dish, because it gives some, again, some flavor without adding any bites, points, or seasonings, or what have you. Because what I'm going to do is basically sear the broccoli. I'm going to keep it on medium high here, and once this pan is hot, I'm going to add in the broccoli and not touch it for 2 minutes. Just let it go. And that way it'll get like a roasted flavor on one side. And then I will show you what to do after that. I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to add in the broccoli. Yep, it's good. Push it into the center of the pan where most of the heat would be concentrated. And just let it sit there. 2 minutes. So I'm going to let it go, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, it's been 2 minutes. Now I'm going to stir it around. And you can see where it was sitting on the pan, it's now got some lovely caramelization brown bits there. So now what we're going to do is add in, not all of this, just a splash, to let that steam for another 2 minutes, and then it's done. This is a quick and easy side dish. I also do it with carrots and cauliflower. Those do cook longer than the broccoli, but I can maybe show you that someday, how I make my little medley in this manner. You do have to do the cauliflower and carrots first and then add the broccoli, because the broccoli cooks much more quickly. So 2 minutes steaming here, and I'll be back. Okay, 2 minutes of steaming. Can definitely smell that roasted flavor from these. I'm going to take them off the heat. They are done. And I'm just putting them right back into the same bowl that I had had them in when they were raw. Okay, now I'm going to spray the pan once more. And this time I'm going to add in the onions. And just cook these down a little bit. These are just chopped into small bits. It doesn't have to be anything too precise. It's not a small dice or anything. It's just a rough chop. So you just have to cook these for about 2 to 3 minutes, just until they become somewhat translucent as well as a little browned. They're almost immediately browned from the browning of the broccoli. Okay, so another 2 minutes or so, and I'll be back. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm just gonna push all the onions out to the edge of the pan and open up that center. Spray it one more time. And I'm going to add in the chicken. I'm not adding in the garlic yet because I don't want that to burn. So I'm going to cook down the chicken first, and then I will move on to the garlic. So don't worry, the garlic's going in. So you want to try to get this into a single layer. If there are any that you ended up leaving too large, you can usually just kind of cut it with your utensil. A silicone spatula actually works to help cut these bigger pieces. If you're going with the grain, that's what makes it easy. If you try to go across the grain, which means the direction of the muscle fibers, then it's a little tougher to do with just a silicone spatula. So I'm going to let that sit there for a minute, get rid of my cutting board, be right back. Okay, so let the chicken sit there for a minute or so without moving it. And then you can start to flip them over. And you can see there is definite browning occurring on the chicken here. And like I've told you before, that's called the Maillard reaction, which means the natural sugars in the food are kind of caramelizing and creating a whole new flavor. That's why grilled food, everyone loves grilled food because of that flavor that is developed. So if you've ever watched Anne Burrell on the Food Network, she does like Worst Cooks in America. She used to have her own show, Secrets of a Restaurant Chef. Her big motto is, brown food tastes good, and that is true. My neck's giving me a little twitchy issue here, but we are moving on. It's not going to stop us. Now we're going to give this another few minutes. We're going to stir it frequently, which just means every once in a while, once or twice a minute, if you're walking by, just give it a little stir. I'm not going anywhere. But I'm just saying, if you had to go get the phone or something, come back and give it a stir, walk away, come back, give it a stir. You know, babysit it, but don't helicopter parent it, if you get what I mean. So I'm going to give this probably like another minute or so, and then I will be right back. Okay, so the chicken is very nicely browned. The onions are nicely browned. I'm going to turn this down to medium now, because when I add in the garlic, I don't want it to be too hot for the garlic. And when we add in our cheese sauce, we don't want it to like sizzle and burn or anything like that. So I wanted to turn down the heat a smidge and then add in our garlic. And then I'll toss that through with the chicken. Big sauna of garlic here. Love it. Okay. That's done. We're going to add the broccoli back in. Just stir that around to get some of that garlic mixed in with the broccoli. Okay, now this is going to help us to get some of the brown bits from the pan up, as well as loosen up the cheese a little bit, because when we add in the rice is going to want to suck some stuff up. So this extra liquid here will be there just for that very reason. The soup is heated up now. the broth that we put in there. Gonna add in our cheese. This cheese is, I was surprised how low in bites and points it was. I started using it when I was on WW, and since Healthi, which used to be iTrackBites, since the Better Balance plan is just like the old WW Blue plan, I could continue using this. It is a great way to add cheesy flavor to something without adding a lot of bites or points or even calories. It's what, 40 calories for 2 tablespoons. That's not bad. It's great on nachos. I especially love the jalapeno cheddar one, but Paul's not a spicy food fan, as many of you probably know. So I have to add my own spice at the table. So we're gonna mix this in to our chicken and chicken broth mixture. Now the rice is almost done, I believe. Yep, I have like seconds left on the timer. So I'm gonna shift these things around so that the overhead camera can catch what I'm gonna do with the rice next, and then we'll shuffle around again. So I'm gonna put a lid on this, turn off the heat for this, and move it aside. And bring in our rice. Now, of course, yep, I know. Of course, I did not have my fork prepared. I like to fluff my rice. If you've ever heard them say fluff it. If I use this silicone spatula, what I'm gonna end up doing is mashing some of them and making it gummy. So that's why they recommend that you fluff it with a fork. And you can see that all the grains of rice are separated here. There's not big clumps. And that's partly due to browning it first in the pan. We caramelize some of those starches. So here's the little trick that I do. Once the rice is done and I fluffed it, I'm going to put a tea towel, clean tea towel on top and cover it and let it sit for about 5 minutes. Why am I doing that? Because if you've ever lifted up a pot lid and had water drip back into the pot, it's because all that steam is collecting up there. So if I put the towel in there, the towel is absorbing the steam and not allowing it to get back into the rice and making it mushy or gummy. So it's helping to dry out the rice a little bit, help us to keep it separated. So I'm gonna let that sit for 5 minutes, then we'll throw this all together. Okay, it's been about 5-6 minutes. You can see there's a lot of condensation. Can you see? So you can see there's a lot of condensation on here, even with the towel there. But what it did was, once it got out, couldn't get back onto our rice. And that's the important thing. So we're gonna remove the towel and once again fluff everything up. And it's nicely fluffed. So now we're gonna swap out this pan for our cheesy chicken pan. Or if you're doing this with your Thanksgiving leftovers, your cheesy turkey pan. That's fine too. Just add all of this in here. And then we are going to stir that through. And you get off of my little spoon rest because I'm probably just going to knock you over. All right, so you can see a lot of that cheesiness is getting sucked up by the rice here. It's no longer as soupy as it was. And speaking of soup, if you didn't want to use the Fritos cheese dip, there is a cheddar cheese soup, a reduced fat one, like the other cream soups. You could use that one. That's about a 10 and a quarter ounce can. This was a 9 ounce can, so you may or may not need it all. But I would probably say you could use it all and maybe just have a little extra cheesiness. But you could also do a different cream soup. If you wanted a chicken, celery, mushroom, you could change it up if you'd like to. But since it's a cheesy chicken, broccoli, and rice, I figured I'd make it the actual way that I'm going to be posting the recipe. But I will put in the notes that you can change it up with other condensed soups and things like that. So there we have it, our cheesy chicken, broccoli, and rice. Now I'm going to set a cover on this just so that the heat doesn't dissipate while I'm talking. So this recipe will be on my blog, which is linked down below in the description box. But you can definitely play around with this. You could add some corn, you could add peas. You don't like broccoli, use cauliflower. Change it up. If you don't have it in the house, find something that you can fit into it. Okay, so this is going to serve 4 people, and it's only going to be 6 bites or old WW Blue Points. As you know, probably, I am on the Healthi, or formerly iTrackBites, Better Balance plan, which is equivalent to the old WW Blue plan. So those two are usually pretty synonymous. Of course, make sure you put into your recipe builder whatever you are using, just in case there's some slight variation from the ingredients that I am using. Now for calories, this would be 389 calories. If you're following macros, the fat would be 10 grams. The carbs would be 42.2 grams, and the protein would be 31.9 grams, and that is, as I said, for 1/4 of this pan. I don't know what this was supposed to be. Anyway, use up your leftover turkey in this. You wouldn't have to cook it, obviously, as I did with the chicken breast. Once you cooked up those onions, you could just toss in the turkey and just warm it up. Toss in the garlic, spread that around, and continue from where I left off. If you have rotisserie chicken, do the same thing. If you don't have to cook the chicken, just basically throw it in, let it get warm, and continue from there. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this recipe, and if you did, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and you are looking for recipes that can help you on a weight loss journey. And if you know anyone else who is on a weight loss journey, I hope that you will share these videos with them. Let them know that these things are out there and that they can add these to their weight loss plan and still lose weight. Hit the notification bell for the next time I upload any sort of video. Also comment down below if you enjoy this type of dish, just so basically one pot. You could try, as I said, cooking the rice in here and adding everything. If you did that, I would not add the broccoli back in. I would add the chicken, cook that through, and then toss in the garlic, spread that through, toss in the rice, and then put the liquid in the broth in with that. And let that cook covered for about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, which is how long the rice takes to cook. As I said, I haven't had great success doing that, but if you do that and you have success, great, and let me know in the comments that you managed to get away with it where I could not. It's okay if you gloat, I don't mind. And you can also follow me over on social media. Here's my Instagram handle, and there are 2 Facebook groups that I am part of. One is mine, Recipes with Roy, and the other one is Finding Our Way, W-E-I-G-H. And that one I co-admin with the beautiful Jennifer Lynn from the Jennifer Lynn channel, and the just as beautiful Bree Coleman from Balancing Life with Bree. I hope that they will describe me as beautiful in their videos as well. You don't have to. Anyway, join us in those groups. There's a lot of fun people there, a lot of tips, tricks, recipes, and support. Okay, it is time for us to go and have dinner. So I'm going to go portion this up. And I have enough bites today. I might even have a double portion. Who knows? But until next time, bye.